Recently, Anna Maria Samuel made news in the year 2023 despite dying in 1798. Why? Salem College is the oldest academic institution for women in the United States and was the only institution in the late 18th century to have an enslaved student, Anna Maria Samuel.
I first became interested in Anna Maria Samuel when I first heard about her in 2017. So at Salem College, there were some protests that students led that focused on Salem's history. We didn't know a whole lot about enslaved people, whether they attended the school, whether they worked at the school. Nobody had really done a lot of research into that. And so once we started to do research, we realized that there was kind of an extraordinary case where there was an enslaved person who attended the school that would become Salem Academy and College.
The Moravians are a Christian sect whose origins in North Carolina date back to 1752. A new Moravian site in North Carolina was chosen in an area of almost 100,000 acres named Wachovia. After the initial settlement of Bethabara was established in 1753, 4 more Moravian sites were built: Bethania, Salem, Friedberg, and Friedland. And the area of these settlements is now known as Forsyth County. It is also important to note that the Moravian blueprints for these settlements did not contain any provisions for slavery. After just a few years of their establishment, the Moravian settlements, especially Salem, became known as major trade centers in North Carolina. With a growing town and business, these Moravian settlements were often in need of labor. The social structure of these towns also revolved around a choir system. The choir system was a societal structure where men and women were separated into different groups where they ate, slept, prayed, and studied together, along with having different tasks within society. These different groups were known as the Single Sisters Choir and the Single Brothers Choir. Education for both men and women was an important Moravian value, which was a rare value during this period of American history. Along with the settlement of Bethabara having a local school, the Salem settlement, which was the Moravian administrative center at that time, had schools for older Moravian children. The Single Sisters School in Salem was created in 1772 and is now known as Salem College in the present day. Along with valuing education, the Moravians believed that the inclusivity of the Christian gospel applied to enslaved people, but that did not mean that they were opposed to the institution of slavery. Enslaved person Sam was rented to the town of Bethabara by his owner, William Ridge. During his renting, Sam supervised cattle and later became a wagoner. And according to John Sensbach, after being rented to the Moravian settlement for more than 3 years, Sam expressed an interest in converting to Christianity and a desire to be bought by the Moravian community. During this time, all commercial and civic undertakings were under the direct control of the local Moravian church. To determine whether they should purchase Sam, the Moravians consulted their lot system, which was used only in extraordinary cases where there was no clear certainty and the heart of the matter could be decided through discussion. And when the Moravians wanted Sam in their community, they consulted their lot system, and the lot system said to purchase Sam. Sam was the first enslaved person purchased by the Moravian community, and the Moravian elders of Bethabara never again consulted their lot system when purchasing an enslaved person. After being bought in 1769, Sam started studying German and the Bible with other Moravian boys in the Bethabara school. After 2 years of studying, Sam was the first person to be baptized in the newly constructed church in Bethabara in 1771. Along with becoming a new member of society, Sam received a new name, Johann Samuel. Johann Samuel then entered the Bethabara Single Brothers Choir as the first black Moravian in North Carolina. Legally, Johann belonged to the Moravian Church, was seen as a spiritual equal, and sat with white single brothers during church services. After purchasing Johann, the town of Bethabara also bought another enslaved person, a woman named Maria, who was legally owned by the tavern. She was originally from Virginia, where she was called Edie, but she changed her name to Maria after joining the Moravians. Maria was baptized in 1780, and in 1781 she married Johann, marking their marriage as the first Afro-Moravian marriage in the South. Johann and Maria had their daughter, Anna Maria Samuel, the first of their 7 children, on Christmas Eve of 1781, and Anna Maria was baptized the same day.
She was baptized as a Moravian upon her birth, which was in 1781, and the records show that baptized enslaved Moravians could be full members of the religious community. Of course, if they broke the rules, they could be sold away. But it appears that in the 1700s, they had more participation, more an equal participation in the Moravian life of the town.
During her childhood, Johann Samuel paid tuition fees for Anna Maria to attend the local Bethabara school. While at the school, Anna Maria, along with her 3 other siblings, studied the school's standard curriculum of music, math, and the Bible. While most North Carolinians at this time believed literacy made enslaved persons dangerous, the Moravians believed that literacy could be used to instill obedience among enslaved persons. And according to the death notice of Anna Maria Samuel, during her growing years, one noticed a special inclination by Anna Maria to sing. She diligently applied herself to learning congregational verses and gladly attended the children's services and congregation meetings. After aging out of the Bethabara school, in June 1773, at 11 years old, Anna Maria Samuel became a member of the older girls' choir in Salem and attended the Single Sisters School.
So in the 1790s, when Anna Maria Samuel was a student here, she was a member of the girls' choir of the Single Sisters house, and she lived here in the Single Sisters house. And we know from the diary records of the Single Sisters that she was a full member of the choir.
According to the death notice of Anna Maria Samuel, at 10 o'clock was the reception of 2 children into their choir, Ellis Stockburg and a black Anna Maria, both from Bethabara. At 2 o'clock, it was their love feast. After that, they were seen in classes, then followed the festival homily. During her time in the older girls' choir, Anna Maria attended choir meetings, love feasts, festivals, devotions, house conferences, homilies, and completed chores. Anna Maria attended the Single Sisters school group until 1795, when she returned to Bethabara. Anna Maria had an early death at the age of 16 and was buried within the Single Sisters choir grave section within the graveyard God's Acre in Bethabara. Her mother, Maria, was freed in 1795 in accordance with her purchase, and her father, Johann, was freed in 1800. Their children were freed in 1797. After being freed, the Samuel family rented a farm in Bethabara. At the start of the 19th century, Moravian views towards the treatment of enslaved people started to change. The Moravian communities in Wachovia stopped viewing enslaved people and freed African Americans as spiritual equals, and the church services became segregated. In 1823, the Moravians built a separate church for African Americans in Salem at the end of Church Street. This church is now known as St. Philip's, the oldest African American church in North Carolina. It is unknown what happened to Anna Maria before her departure from the Single Sister School and her death in Bethabara, but it is known that when she left, she was the only person of color to attend present-day Salem College during an era in which women rarely attended school, let alone an enslaved woman.
So one of the things that interests me is what her life was like compared to the other girls who were in the school. So did she have any extra responsibilities that the other girls didn't have? Were there cases where she was not allowed to attend things, or was her life different from the white girls who also attended school? Even though she was enslaved and she was able to attend the school, which is an extraordinary feat in and of itself, I often wonder about what her life was like as Salem and the Moravians were heading towards a more rigid stance towards segregation. And so it's nice that we are able to honor her and really think about what her legacy means. And I also wonder how far we have to go.
Her story is important now as it shows the complicated nature of this nation's slave history, with Anna Maria's story serving as a unique example of the other institutions that played a role in the legacy of slavery. The focal point of Anna Maria's life lies in her attendance at the Single Sister School by the grace of the Moravian Church, because she was an enslaved black girl who ate, prayed, and studied with white girls, and that is an unusual story worth sharing.